إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون أما بعد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من مس الحصى فقد لغى. A weekly reminder to set aside your phones and text messages and distractions around you for the next 20 to 30 minutes. And actually, let me just clarify a quick point about this, because I always see this whenever I come here inside. You're supposed to avoid any distractions from the moment that the Imam climbs up to the minbar. The minbar is the steps that the Imam climbs up. Obviously here we don't have steps. But as soon as you hear the khatib say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, your phones should be in your pocket, conversations should be closed off, because it's not worth to waste the reward of the Jum'ah on something so trivial. Anyhow, Allah Azza wa Jal tells us in the Quran to ponder over the diversity that He has created. Allah Azza wa Jal says, إِنَّ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَاخْتِلَافُ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ وَأَلْوَانِكُمْ لَآيَاتٍ. In the diversity of skin color, in the diversity of creation, in the diversity of language, in the diversity of the heavens and the earth and all of these creations. These are all signs of Allah Azza wa Jal, whom when a person ponders over, they become closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. And of the diversities that Allah Azza wa Jal has created, which we will talk about today, is the diversity of time. What do I mean by it? Diversity of time. It means that time has not been created in equal units. There are certain periods of time which are more rewarding than other periods of time. There are more blessed periods of time compared to normal. So for example, we are told that the last third of the night is a very special time. And it cannot be compared to, for example, the time after Dhuhr. It's a unique time. The same thing, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he says, بُورِكَ لِأُمَّتِي فِي بُكُورِهَا. The early times of the day, the time around Fajr time, this is a blessed time. It has more weight to it compared to other units of time. And in this diversity that Allah Azza wa Jalla has created, because if He had willed, He could have just made all time units equal. But you see, He wants to give us incentives to put in more effort, to push ourselves a little bit, to put ourselves outside of our comfort zones, just so that we can grow closer to Him. So that we can get motivated. Okay, you want more rizq, you want more money, you want to accomplish more throughout your day. Allah Azza wa Jalla gives you an incentive. Wake up early in the morning. There's more barakah in the morning. Or if you want your du'as to be accepted, wake up in the last third of the night. Allah Azza wa Jalla descends down to the dunya and listens to your du'as. So these are all incentives to push us to better ourselves and to raise the bar. Now, and the ultimate period of time, which is the most blessed period of time, is about to be onto us. And that is the blessed month of Ramadan. And Allah Azza wa Jal, it is the only month that is mentioned by name in the Quran. شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. Because of how great it is in terms of its blessing. And in fact, one time Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he stood in the minbar on Ramadan Eve, in the night right before Ramadan, and he says to the people, قَدْ جَاءَكُمْ شَهْرٌ مُبَارَكٌ. A Mubarak month is now upon you. Now pause here for a second. What does the word Mubarak mean? What does this word Barakah mean? Because it's one of the most misunderstood words. And English is one of those languages that does not do justice to the word Barakah. And if you translate it, they will tell you, okay, it's a blessing. Okay, what's blessing? When you say, may Allah grant you barakah, barakallah feek, what does that mean? So barakah in a nutshell, it means that you get more for the same amount that you do. So for example, there is something called barakah in your money. What does barakah in money look like? You might see someone who's earning tens of thousands a month, and he would walk out of that month with debt, and he still have bills to pay. And you might have someone who only earns $1,000 a month, and he pays for everything, and he still has leftovers to spare. And he doesn't understand how, like, subhanAllah, ya akhi, I only had, this much, I don't remember earning this much. But this is the barakah that Allah put in your wealth. On the outside, it's the same amount of money, but the value of it, the weight of it, was increased because of the barakah. And we have so many incidents from the seerah that show us, that demonstrate this concept of barakah. And it is something that is still open to this day for anyone. It's not just only unique to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. So, for example, the Battle of Al-Khandaq, the Battle of the Trench, we have several authentic reports that tell us that one small pot of meat that was supposed to only feed 2 people, 2 plates, fed over 1,000 people to their fill. And there were still more to spare as well. This is what it means for barakah. Barakah is one glass of milk that Abu Hurairah would be holding in his hand, and he feeds almost 100 people in the masjid. And he looks at the glass of milk at the end, it's still full to the brim. And he drinks from it, and the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ drinks from it, and everybody drank from it, and there's still left to spare. This is barakah. On the outside, it's the same glass of milk. It's the same pot of meat. But the outcome of it, what comes out of this action, is much, much more than usual. Why? Because Allah Azza wa Jal put barakah in it. Now I am telling you, the month of Ramadan is the month of barakah. It is the ultimate month where the same things may look normal on the outside, yet they are at a completely different level at the sight of Allah Azza wa Jal. It's the same amount of effort that you're putting, the same glass of milk, the same $10 of sadaqah that you're giving, the same page of Quran that you're reading, the same prayer that you are offering. And to you, it might just look like it's just another day, I'm just doing my deeds. But this is the month of barakah. And in reality, the reward for this one small deed that looks so normal to you is way exponentially more rewarded in terms of reward compared to other months than the month of Ramadan. So, this is a motivation that Allah Azza wa Jal is telling us. He's getting you hyped up. He's getting you pumped up for the month of Ramadan. And think about it. The month of Ramadan is also the month of Al-Maghfirah, the month of forgiveness. Where, subhanAllah, it's almost like when you read that hadith, it's like Allah Azza wa Jal just looking for just any excuse to just forgive all of your sins. Whoever fasts Ramadan every day, seeking the reward of Allah Azza wa Jal, all of his sins are forgiven. Whoever prays every night in Ramadan, whether you're praying for 3 hours or for 3 minutes, every night in Ramadan, your sins are forgiven. Whoever encounters Laylatul Qadr, seeking the reward from Allah, their sins are forgiven. SubhanAllah. It's the bare minimum, yet Allah Azza wa Jal just wants to forgive. He just wants to give you more and more and more. Whoever, in another hadith, it tells us that the doors of Jahannam are closed and the doors of Jannah are opened, as if inviting more and more people to come to Jannah, to become guided again. Every day Allah Azza wa Jal frees people from Jahannam. What does this mean? It means He puts them onto the path of guidance. You might look at someone and you think he has no hope, yet Allah just decides to guide this person every single night. Every single night. There's a number of people that when Allah Azza wa Jal decides to guide to the righteous path such that they become people of Jannah. And subhanAllah, this is why Muslims love the month of Ramadan. Even those who might not be the most pious Muslims out there, okay, even they eventually find some sort and some form of excitement in this month. That even though, yes, some of us, we are worried to ourselves, how am I going to be fasting and then coming to university and doing my exams and then going to work and doing this and doing that? I'm going to have a headache. I'm going to have a brain fog. I'm not going to be able to focus. Yeah, subhanAllah, again, it just happens every single year. We have the same concern, and then just like that, the whole month is gone. And then by the end of the month, you say to yourself, subhanAllah, what was I even worried about? The month just flew by just like that. Subhanallah. And subhanallah, you kind of just get used to it, don't you? You're used to it today. You wake up, you have your morning coffee, Some of us even have an afternoon coffee as well, right? And now we're concerned, like, how am I going to survive the day without that? And subhanAllah, by the third day of Ramadan, you forget what lunch is even. And at that point, khalas, your body has adjusted to the schedule of Ramadan. Now, this is great and everything. However, we have to also mention that there is a flip side to the equation. And in this is a warning to all of us as well. Anyone who is not forgiven in the month of Ramadan will not be forgiven outside the month of Ramadan. This is very severe. And think about it. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, the one who looked out for the ummah more than anyone else, the one who was sent as rahmatan lil alameen, a mercy to all creation, made dua against a category of people. And wallahi, when you hear this, that should frighten you. Because this is the Prophet ﷺ making dua. And it is mentioned in a long hadith that one day, as Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was climbing the minbar, and the Sahaba were sitting, he said, Ameen, Ameen, Ameen. And the Sahaba were confused, like, why are you saying Ameen? And it's a long hadith, I'm not going to mention all of it. But he says, basically, in one portion of the hadith, he says, Jibreel just came down to me. And he made dua, and he told me to say Ameen, so I said Ameen. What were the du'as of Jibreel? One of the du'as that he says, that, O Muhammad ﷺ, anyone who encounters the month of Ramadan and does not manage to get his sins forgiven, may Allah ab'adahu Allah. May Allah put him very, very far away. And he told him, say Ameen. And he said Ameen. Now, why would the Prophet ﷺ, if he loves us so much, and he said as a mercy for all of the creation, why would he say Ameen to such a dua? Why couldn't he just say to Jibreel, Jibreel, just chill a little bit, we can ask Allah to guide them in this and that, right? Why would he not do this? Because think about it for a second. It's very simple. A person who's not even going to make an effort in the month of Ramadan is not going to make an effort outside the month of Ramadan. When you're given so many freebies, when the bar is so lowered for you that just anyone who puts just a minimal number of effort can get forgiven, yet even that person does not want to put that effort. Do you think such a person is going to be willing to put that effort outside the month of Ramadan? And this is a message for all of us. Change something in the month of Ramadan. Okay? Do something extra, even if it's small in the month of Ramadan. Don't keep up the same exact lifestyle that you have today and just maintain it in the month of Ramadan like it's just any other month. Add something extra. Look for something that you can add in your day, even no matter how small it is. But just show Allah that, Ya Allah, I want that forgiveness that you're promising everybody. So that inshallah all of us fall under this category of forgiveness. The month of Ramadan is a month of ibadah, is a month where Allah Azza wa Jal motivates us to worship, not only at an individual level, but also at a community level. And everybody appreciates here the blessings of Taraweeh, coming to the masjid, just having iftar together. Even if you're not that pious of a person, you just like this community spirit. You like that, okay, this person is inviting that person to their house and I'm inviting back to my house, and then we have a iftar here in the MSA, another iftar in the masjid, another iftar here and there, and just people get together, and people from different backgrounds and different languages and different countries, they sit together on one table and they eat food, and this increases the bonds of one another, and this is something that we all get to enjoy. And this is another blessing for the month of Ramadan. And let's be honest here. When Ramadan ends, all of us tend to feel some sort of emptiness. Right? You would see, for those of us who are going to go to the masajid in Taraweeh, you will find that the masjid, mashallah, every single night is packed to the brim. And then a week later, you will find the masjid is not as full as usual. And you remember that one brother, you're like, I used to see that brother every single day for Taraweeh. We used to sit down together after Taraweeh, have a cup of chai, have a cup of coffee, this and that. And now I barely see him anymore. I only see him like once every 3 weeks. So subhanallah. So Allah puts barakah in the month of Ramadan. Not just in terms of forgiveness, not just in terms of reward, but also in terms of the community and individually as well. Subhanallah, we all stand together behind the same imam and we listen to the same Quran. And everybody feels those vibes of Ramadan. You always have that one night where perhaps you don't even know what you're listening to, but it just hits the spot. You feel like your iman is just skyrocketing up in the roof, and you're like, I just wish this prayer never even ends. I wish this congregation never ends, right? And even those of us who are, who might not be as practicing, feels a motivation to come to the masjid. Why? Because all my friends are going, so I might as well just go and pray with them for a bit, and then I can hang out with them later. So subhanAllah, everybody feels a sense of appreciation to the month of Ramadan. And of course our iman grows stronger and stronger until we arrive at the last 10 nights of Ramadan, which are the most important nights, of course. And by the way, let me share a piece of advice here, now that I've mentioned the last 10 nights. Now, these are the nights where you need to be at your peak performance. And unfortunately, a lot of people fall into this rookie mistake. What am I talking about? That they are pumped, they're hyped up about the month of Ramadan. So in the first 2 days, they do just all kinds of deeds that they are not used to. And this person barely reads the Quran, now he wants to read 30 pages of Quran a day. Or he barely prays his sunnahs, now he wants to pray all of his sunnahs, and he wants to pray 20 rak'ahs of taraweeh, and he wants to pray this and pray that. And they just end up burning out within the first 2 days. When Ramadan begins, yes, you raise the bar for yourself, okay? You add something extra, but be realistic about it. You add Quran, you add dhikr, but don't add so much that you end up burning yourself out. And subhanAllah, it's like a marathon. Think of a marathon, like a 40-kilometer race. Before the race, there's a warm-up period. Then at the beginning of the race, okay, you're building up the pace. You're now just lightly jogging. You're building up the pace, right? Throughout the race, in the middle, now you're increasing the pace. You're speeding up a little bit. And now when you see the finish line, khalas, you're sprinting. Even if it's going to drain your energy, even if you're going to get exhausted, you see the finish line and you're like, I'm going to make it. And so you put all of your effort. You put 200% of your effort in it. So this is, in a sense, the same thing about the month of Ramadan. Right now, as we speak, we are in the warm-up period, and that is the month of Sha'ban. And this is why my advice to all of us is right now you should be doing or practicing, training yourself for the month of Ramadan, such that when the month of Ramadan comes, when this marathon begins, you're already jogging. Khalas, you're warmed up, you're not going to get cramped, and you're not going to fall and crash and burn, right? So you pace yourself, and then maybe in the middle of the month of Ramadan, you add even more adhkar, you add even more Quran. And then by the end of the month, by the last 10 nights, now you are khalas, you're at peak performance, you're trying to extract the maximum benefit from this month. Brothers, if you can just please move forward so that we can get some more space, inshallah. Now, in the month of Ramadan, and again, just kind of summarizing as much as possible, there are 2 areas of focus. There is no secret formula that's going to make you a better Muslim. Okay, it's very, very simple. There's 2 things that you need to be working on. First of all, your connection with Allah Azza wa Jal, and second of all, your goodness towards other people. So all of us here, you should be asking yourself, you should set some time in the day and ask yourself, what rituals should I be doing? What du'as can I make? And of course, you should be taking advantages of the du'a right before iftar. It's a time of acceptance as well. How much extra Quran can you read? How much extra qiyam can you do? Whether you're praying the 20 rak'ahs or 8 rak'ahs or 2 rak'ahs, whatever you are praying, okay? But make sure that you are adding something as well. How am I going to increase my dhikr and Quran in a day? Some of us, we take the transit here to the university, or we drive here, or whatever you take. And sometimes we put our earbuds and we start listening to news or to, useless stuff. Maybe try replacing that with Quran. Maybe use that time to be doing dhikr, whether you are walking. Even when you are walking, what does it take for you to say astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, while you are walking to your class or walking to Mac Hall or walking anywhere, right? So take advantage of every moment. Plan out your month. How am I going to utilize this month to increase my connection with Allah Azza wa Jal? And of course, this is very important. Ramadan is the month of Quran. And in fact, if you analyze the Quran, you find that Allah Azza wa Jal associates the month of Ramadan with Quran before He associates it with fasting. And He says, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن. Then He says, فَمَنْ شَهِدَ مِنْكُمْ شَهْرَ فَلْيَصُمْهُ. This is the month that we revealed the Quran in. And then whoever witnesses the month, then make sure you fast that month. So it is the month of Quran. This is a time for you to be increasing your recitation, your memorization, your listening. And some of us, we think we're, mashallah, we're being smart here and we're trying to do a hack and we're like, khalas, I'm going to come tonight, I'm going to pray tarawih behind the imam, I'm going to listen to my Quran, so that's my Quran for the day. Reading and listening and memorizing and pondering are all different kinds of worship. So listening to the Quran is not enough for you to say that, okay, I'm not going to be reading Quran. So make sure you set a wird, a daily routine for you, a daily amount that you want to be reading in the month of Ramadan every single day. And we also mentioned increasing in your goodness to other people. And the best way to do this, honestly, is to give sadaqah. Ramadan is the month of giving. And we hear always from a lot of brothers that they always complain about all of these fundraisers and imams coming in. Oh yeah, we need your money, please empty your pockets. We want a masjid, we want a musalla, we want this, we want that. And some people get fed up with this. But honestly, you need to change the way that you look at this. Because at the end of the day, that sadaqah is not going for that masjid. That sadaqah is going for your savings in the akhirah. So make sure you give something in sadaqah. Give, whether you're giving $10 or $100 or $1,000, it's according to your financial state, right? But also, it also involves, when it comes to ihsan to other people, it also comes in terms of dealing with other people ourselves. SubhanAllah, every day we encounter disputes and conflicts. That's natural, okay? But what's not okay is for us to bear grudges towards other brothers and sisters, to have hatred, to have anger, to have jealousy. Okay, akhi, someone wronged you. Okay, we're not gonna say that this person did something correct. That person was in the wrong, and you were the one who was being oppressed. Just for the sake of Allah, ya akhi. It's a month of Ramadan, just overlook it, man. Just move on. Life is too short. How long are you going to keep occupying space for grudges and anger in your heart? Just let it go. Forgive and forget. For the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. This is another form of having ihsan to other people as well. So the month of Ramadan should also be a month in which we cleanse our hearts as well, and to elevate to a higher and higher status. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. As usual, subhanAllah, there's always so many more points to mention, but the time always gets the best of us. So I'm just going to conclude my khutbah with one final point. And I find that this point does not usually get mentioned whenever the topic of Ramadan is brought up, but in my opinion it is very important. And take it from someone who spent my teenage years here in the Western lands, here in Canada. And I'm mainly here addressing those of us who come from other lands. Maybe you've immigrated here, or maybe you're an international student, or maybe you come from a different background and you were not born and raised here in Calgary. And I want you to take a minute, think back right now. Think back to the memories of Ramadan from back home. Think back to the best and the sweetest memories from when you were a child and spending Ramadan, whether you're spending it in the Middle East or in Pakistan or in India or wherever it is, you're spending it around, that land over there. What do these memories usually involve? I'll tell you, usually it's family, right? Community, gatherings, crowd. There's a lot of life. Even after Taraweeh, everything is still open. Everybody's outside in the streets. There's a big vibe. There's a big community vibe happening, right? Adhans are being heard everywhere. Now, brothers and sisters, we are living here in the West. And yes, even though people know of this word, Ramadan, many people don't know what is Ramadan. Okay? And I'm not talking about the non-Muslims, I'm talking about Muslims that are here in this land. Many people don't know about the spirit of Ramadan or the importance of Ramadan. So one point that I'm really emphasizing on, you need to set an importance for the month of Ramadan. You need to put an effort, not just in ibadah, not just in dhikr. You need to make the month of Ramadan a special month for your family. I'm telling you, the month of Ramadan is a month of family. Yes, you go for iftars, you go for tarawih, you go this and there, but it is also a time it is also a month where you should be spending time showing love to your family, making this month extra special with them. Look, ya akhi, I know you're tired. I know you have a headache, you're irritated, and you're just like, just leave me alone, I just want to take a nap before Maghrib Adhan. But I want you to think 50 years down the line. Don't think of today, don't think of next month. Think 50 years down the line. Some of us might be married and you have children. Many of us here might not be married, but you want to get married and you want to have children. Think of 50 years down when you have children and your children have their children as well. If you were to now ask them the same question and ask them, think back of Ramadan when you were a child, what memories would they have of Ramadan? Is Ramadan to them just another month in the year? It's just another month where I have to stop eating and drinking and that's it? Or is it also just like you, a month that is filled with memories? Or you think of the big iftars and the gatherings and your uncles and the Eidiyah where you get after the Eid, you get some nice cash from your uncles during Eid time, a time where even the streets at night, at 12, 1, 2, 3 a.m., the streets are packed to the brim, people are all outside, there's a lot of life in the Muslim lands. Again, you need to have a long-term vision for this kind of thing. So spend time with the family, do something extra for them. Give them gifts, give them food. And I'm telling you right now here, this is not a bid'ah, okay? This is not an innovation, okay? This is an ibadah. This is an act of worship. This is a form of preserving Iman, preserving Islam for the future generations as well. And every single one of you, you have a role to play in this. Whether I'm saying in this in your individual families, or whether this means volunteering and doing some community event, inviting people to iftars and whatever it is, lightening up the month of Ramadan, breaking the monotony, okay? Associating something special with the month of Ramadan. So, for many of us, our parents brought us here to this land. Okay, my parents brought me here to this land. Or perhaps you're an international student, you're just here for to get a degree in a good institute, right? But with this decision, there is extra responsibility that falls on your back. So of those responsibilities, you have to demonstrate to your family, to your community, to the people around you, the meaning of this month. And even by the way, Eid. And I know I am jumping the gun here. We're not even into the month of Ramadan. I'm already talking about Eid, okay? But the same thing, because this is one of the things that really, really bothers me. Why are the younger generation excited for Halloween, for Christmas, for Boxing Day? And as soon as you tell them about Eid, they're not that excited. They're not even willing to take the days off of their school. Why? Because we fail to do our job. You need to show them that these are what we value as Muslims. This is our tradition, this is our faith, this is our culture, this is what we stand for. So we need to plant that inside of our children, such that all of our community members and our children absorb the values of Islam and appreciate the blessings of this month. And so inshallah that they can also pass down this legacy to your children and their children to all the future generations inshallah. Allahumma lidda'a fa'aminu, Allahumma la tad'alana fi maqamina hadha dhanban illa ghafartah, wa la hamman illa farajtah, wa la karban illa nafastah, wa la daynan illa qadaytah, wa la mubtalan illa afaytah, wa la maridan illa shafaytah, wa la hajatan lana min hawaij ad-dunya wal akhirati illa antana ala qada'iha wa yassartaha bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Allahumma ballighna Ramadan, la faqidina ولا مفقودين. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات. عباد الله اتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله أمركم بأمر بدأ فيه بنفسه فقال عز من قائل إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فأقم الصلاة.